All right, today we're jumping right into a really critical security alert, one that's putting networks all over the world at risk. We're talking about a huge flaw in WatchGuard firewalls. And the scary part? Attackers are already all over it.
Okay, so right off the bat, let's just put a number on this. This is what should really get your attention. We're looking at over 115,000 WatchGuard firewalls right now, online, exposed, and totally vulnerable to this attack. That is a gigantic attack surface for a problem this serious.
And look, this is exactly why we're talking about it with such urgency. This isn't some theoretical thing that researchers found in a lab. No way. This is a zero-day exploit, which means it's being actively weaponized right now. Real-world attacks are happening as we speak.
So let's get into the nitty-gritty, shall we? We're going to unpack what this vulnerability actually is, and more importantly, why it's such a massive threat to the very thing that's supposed to be protecting your network in the first place.
All right, so what are we really looking at here, technically? Well, the official name is CVE-2025-1473. At its heart, it's what's called an out-of-bounds write error. It messes with the process that handles a common VPN protocol, IKEv2. But the key word here, the one that should make you sit up, is unauthenticated. That means an attacker doesn't need a username, a password, nothing to pull this off.
So how does this actually work? How does some attacker on the other side of the world go from sending just one tiny malicious packet to getting complete control of a firewall? Let's break it down.
Yeah, that term out of bounds right sounds super technical, kind of abstract, right? But this analogy makes it so clear. Just picture the system's memory like a big wall of mailboxes in an apartment building. Each one has a specific address. Now, the attacker crafts this special data packet. That's our malicious letter. And instead of putting it in the right mailbox, they shove it between the boxes. By doing that, they actually rewrite the delivery instructions for the whole building, corrupting the system's core functions and letting them run whatever code they want. Sneaky, huh?
So you're probably wondering, am I at risk? Let's get specific. You need to be worried if your firewalls are running Fireware OS versions anywhere from 11.x up to 12.511 and also version 2025.1.3. The big trigger is having IKEv2 VPN enabled, whether that's for mobile users or for connecting branch offices. And here's a really tricky part, this ghost configurations thing. It means even if you think you've deleted a vulnerable setup, little pieces of it can be left behind, leaving you exposed. It's a real gotcha.
Okay, so we've got the how. Now for the so what. What actually happens if an attacker pulls this off? Well, let me tell you, it's not pretty. The consequences are severe.
Just to put a number on it, this thing has a CVSS score of 9.3 out of 10. That is firmly in the critical territory. When you see a score that high, it means we're talking about maximum impact on everything: confidentiality, integrity, availability, the whole shebang. It's basically as bad as it gets. And this is exactly why that score is so high. A successful attack here isn't just a little problem. It is a total, complete compromise. The attacker gets full control of your firewall. Think about that. Your main line of defense, it suddenly becomes their main base of operations. From there, they can pivot right into your internal network, steal your data, plant malware, or even use your firewall to attack other people. It completely flips the script. And this isn't just speculation. We have confirmation that this is happening right now out in the wild. WatchGuard themselves have put out what are called indicators of compromise, IOCs. They're seeing compromised firewalls phoning home to suspicious IP addresses in Russia and China. So yeah, the bad guys are already on this. Okay, that's enough doom and gloom. We get it. The problem is huge. The stakes are high. So let's switch gears to the most important part of this whole conversation. What do you do about it? What are the immediate steps you need to take to lock down your network? It really boils down to a clear 3-step plan. Step 1, and this is the big one, update your firmware. Immediately, no excuses. Step 2, audit your VPN configurations. Go through them, get rid of anything you don't need, and hunt down those ghost configs. And step 3, monitor your traffic. Keep an eye out for anything suspicious, especially those known red flags we just talked about. And for that first, absolutely critical step, here are the magic numbers you need to know. The patched versions are Fireware OS 12.11.6 and 2025.1.4. Seriously, getting these updates applied is the #1 most effective thing you can do to shut this door for good.
All right, so patching is the immediate tactical move, right? The fire drill. But whenever something this big happens, it's also a chance to learn a bigger lesson. So let's zoom out for a minute. What does this whole mess tell us about how we think about security in general?
This whole situation is just a perfect example of why the old way of thinking about security, that castle and moat approach, is so fragile. You know, the idea that you have this super strong wall, the firewall, and once you're inside, everything is safe and trusted. But what happens when someone gets through that wall? Everything inside is a sitting duck. And that's exactly why you hear so much about the zero trust model now. It's a totally different mindset. It basically says never trust, always verify. It assumes the bad guys are already inside and you have to check everything all the time. And make no mistake, this isn't some one-off thing. It's part of a pattern. You just have to look back at things like the massive Log4 shell vulnerability, or even previous problems with WatchGuard. There's a clear trend. Attackers are hammering on these critical network gateways. And it makes sense, right? Firewalls are the keys to the kingdom. They are incredibly high-value targets, and that means we have to be constantly on our toes. So, at the end of the day, your firewall is basically the front door to your entire digital world. And after seeing just how easily this one can be kicked open, it really just leaves you with one question, doesn't it? Is it time to go check your locks?